Hey guys, so this is part 3, how to start a missional community, how to get it going. This is kind of the nuts and bolts now of this whole topic. Maybe this is exactly why you're tuned in. This is now my 3rd attempt at recording this last and final part. So we've had some difficulties, but I think I'm going to get it going this time. Maybe you're part of a church right now, an existing church, and you're saying, this is not really scratching where I'm itching. I'm not experiencing discipleship. People aren't growing in Christ. We're not impacting our community, and we're not experiencing community. That can happen a lot when we think in terms of church as a program in a building, and so you're wanting to move in this direction, which I would strongly encourage every church to move in this direction where you are being a church of missional communities rather than thinking primarily of church as what happens on Sabbath morning. Or maybe you're a church planter and you're wanting to go this direction. I would strongly encourage you to do so because this is the best way to make disciples. The church has been called to make disciples who make disciples. As one missional community pastor has said, we've been called to make disciples. If you make disciples, you'll get the church. But if you start a church, you may not get disciples. Lots of times when we think of planting churches, what we're really talking about is planting worship services, and that's not what we're called to do. So very, very quickly, I want to get this hammered out. How do we start a missional community? Maybe you're an individual and you're saying, how can I start this? Number one, you need to start with this question, mission. What is my mission, or what is my mission field? If you don't have that question figured out, if you don't start with this question, you are not a missional community. If you are getting together for Bible studies, if you're getting together to hang out, to eat, to be a support group, to be a small group, that's fine, but you're not a missional community. And I find that if a missional community is not founded on the principle of being on mission and having a mission field, then not only is it not a missional community, but it's probably just going to grow stagnant and die anyway. We need to be outward focused. Outward focused. You'll get all of the other stuff, the community, you'll get the fellowship, you'll get the discipleship, you'll get all of that when you're on mission together. It'll come up inevitably. So you have to identify what is your mission. You say, well, how do I figure that out? The easiest and best place to have a mission or a mission field is in your neighborhood. You don't have to complicate things. By the way, as Seventh-day Adventists, if you look up the word neighbor or neighborhood, in Ellen White's writings, there is a bounty, there is a plethora of material that she writes on the importance of focusing and serving and blessing our neighborhoods. She was ahead of her time. A lot of these non-Seventh-day Adventist missiologists are talking so much more now about neighborhood church and getting involved in our neighborhoods. So choose your neighborhood. Just believe that God has set you in that place and in that area to be a blessing and to serve and to be on mission there. You don't have to complicate things. Choose your neighborhood as your mission field. Or if that doesn't work for whatever reason, it's just doesn't fit your context, which may be the case. Maybe you're not in a neighborhood. Maybe you live in the boonies, whatever. Also, another avenue would be a network of relationships. As an example, I have a friend who's an entrepreneur, and he says, you know what, I have a burden to reach other entrepreneurs. That's awesome too. You know how to reach them, you know their context, you know their language, but a network of relationships might be the context. There's some times where people, like in our missional community that we've started, we're already connected to various people. It didn't start in a typical way. If we had done it all over again, we might have done it differently. But all of us were already plugged into various relationships, and so we decided that we were going to have our mission as those relationships that we already had established. Okay? Once you've figured out what your mission is, you then recruit people to be on mission with you. Maybe 4 to 6 of you. It's not a hard and fast number, but don't get too many of you. And I'm talking about recruit disciples, those who are already believers, those who are already Seventh-day Adventists. So recruit disciples to be on your mission, okay? And if they say, sorry, I'm not interested in that mission, I'm not interested in being on mission, say, okay, that's fine. We don't need you, or you can try something else. Also, it would be well if they were in geographical proximity, if you're focusing on a neighborhood. If people say, I want to be on mission with you, but they live 30 minutes away, it's probably going to be hard not only to be on mission, but to experience community. So I would recruit 4 to 6 other people, or 4 to 6 of you total, and start being on mission together. And then number 3, to that end, just start getting together regularly, the people you've recruited, and start eating meals together. Okay? Just regularly do that. You're there together. You are learning to reorient your lives to each other. You are trying to do more and more and more of life together. So eat meals together, and preferably in the mission field that you have chosen, not just at random people's homes that are in your missional community, especially if they live far away from where your mission field is. Start eating meals together in your home, in the restaurants and areas in which you're residing. And then once you start eating meals together, you're praying together, you're maybe studying the Word together, you are sharing with one another, you are giving each other greater access to one another's lives. Then I would start figuring out, how are we going to bless and serve our mission field, our neighborhood, our network of relationships. So you are investing long-term in your mission field. This is not a one-shot deal. And what you're doing is you are seeking ways, you are exegeting the neighborhood, the culture, the network of relationships that you're seeking to serve and bless. You are seeking to live out the gospel, blessing and serving them as your mission. You are showing both individually and, just as importantly, as a community, what the gospel looks like when it's lived out in everyday life. So you are blessing and serving your mission field, and that could take all forms that could be all sorts of approaches. My neighbor, for example, I've just committed to him, I've invested in him. If he has a need, I'm helping him. I bring him to the hospital one time to do dialysis 3 days of the week. He needs to go down 4 hours away to Boston in a few months to have something done medically. I'm there for you. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to serve you. You're not doing it in a way that you have your Bible behind your back and you're saying, okay, I'm doing all this just so that I can give you a Bible study. What you're doing is you are trying to invite the people that you are serving and blessing deeper into your life. You are inviting them deeper into your life, and inevitably, as they come deeper into your life, they are going to be exposed to the values and the things that are important to you. And as they respond to you, what they're really doing is responding to Jesus, because Jesus says if they receive you, they receive me. He says that in Luke chapter 10. He says if they listen to you, they're listening to me. So that indicates to you that they are being more and more open to the gospel. Now, let's make it clear. We are blessing and serving, but we're doing so as a testimony to the gospel. We're not blessing and serving just to be socially conscious. Again, as I said in part 1, a missional community is just not a social activism group. There's going to be social activism in the broad sense of the term, inevitably, as we're blessing and serving, but that is for the purpose of living as a testimony to the power of the gospel. As Jeff Vanderstelt, as he says, basically I'm paraphrasing, the goal is ordinary people doing everyday things with gospel intentionality. Gospel intentionality meaning, as I am blessing and serving, I am in constant prayer that I would be a testimony to the gospel. And he says, live your life in such a way that it demands a gospel explanation. So as they see us blessing and serving them, as they see us living out other-centered lives, they say, man, why are you doing this? And we say, well, I'm doing this because I have received grace from Christ, and I want to give it forward to other people. So as we bless and we serve, there's different ways we can do it. We can invite them to our meals, a very non-threatening way to get them involved in our lives and see us on community. We can invite them to serve with us. So if we have opportunities that arise that we know are opportunities to serve on a corporate level, we say, hey, our group is getting together and we're going to go try to clean up the park in our neighborhood. And so we can invite them to be a part of our community. These are ways we can bless and serve. These are ways we can get them involved with our lives. So obviously there's more in-depth issues as it relates to missional communities, but this is the very basic nuts and bolts, the foundation, and perhaps there might be a part 4 at some point, but that's basically it. Start with a mission, recruit others to be on mission with you, start eating together, doing meals, doing as much of life together as you can, and start blessing and serving those who are in your mission field, and then from there God will continue to unfold how you can bless and serve and bring people and disciple them in the gospel. Again, maybe that will be a part 4, but no promises at this point. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to call. Don't call, actually. Email, text. I'll flash up that information for you. Thanks again for listening, and God bless you.